teaching you the art of industrial real estate. This is On Air with Team Jensen.
All right. Welcome, listeners. Welcome to episode 27 of On Air with Team Jensen, the art of industrial real estate. Today, we're excited. We've got a peer of ours on, Jack with Laminate Works. They're out of the Armourdale area in Kansas City, Kansas. Jack, thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks.
But
Appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to kind of dive into things, which we were sitting down and you even said that these are the type of tables you guys make. So,
Yeah.
But to dive into it, if you want to kind of, share a little bit about your role with Laminate Works, kind of the history of Laminate Works and how it got started. And, I think it's cool. We're family business guys, and I think you can share a little nugget on that as well, too.
Yeah. I'm president at Laminate Works right now, and I've been in that role for a few years. Family business. My dad started it 1999 in Wichita. And then we moved to Kansas City around 2001, and been there ever since. I started working in the plant when I was 8 years old.
Sounds about right.
I was kind of out of necessity for my mother to keep her sanity. Just being an 8-year-old boy, it was kind of, hey, go to work with your dad in the summers, and I kind of fell in love with it immediately. Loved making things, loved being around, old plant dudes that taught me a lot of words as an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And
some gruff guys.
Yeah. And that kind of became my people. That I really enjoyed the process, and it was fun to kind of have a second family. And I think by the time I was 10, 11, or 12, kind of finally starting to work on some machines and do more than sweeping the floor, I kind of knew this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love working with my dad, and now we just have a cool dynamic where I'm running our company, Laminate Works, and he took a sabbatical a few years ago, kind of decided what he wanted to do with his future, and decided to go off and start another company that's now a sister company of ours, a metal manufacturing business called Metal Works. And so he's doing that, and I'm doing Laminate Works, and it's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. And out of curiosity, you said you were back in the shop when you were like 8. Are there some folks that have been there since then that you now get to work with? That's probably a pretty fun dynamic.
Yeah, it's really cool. One of the dudes on our management team, Sean, has been with us. It's either 16 or 17 years as of last week, and Sean is like, the wise sage on our management group that's kind of seen it all. And we've got a handful of dudes in the plant floor that have been there just as long, and it's fun. I've kind of grown up with some of them, so yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, we were talking about it on our last episode with just the culture, and how important that is to quality of the work-life balance, if you will. If you don't enjoy going and working with the people that you're going to work with every day, it's not going to be very enjoyable for anybody that's there. Yeah. So, I mean, the family dynamic, that I would imagine that just from the inception kind of instills some of that culture and what is your established baseline of what it needs to be. And you guys probably treat folks like family, and especially the ones that have just been along the ride the whole way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, and so I kind of knew you were a golfer, and today, just for our sponsor, Martin City, thank you, Martin City, shout out. We do have the Fairway Session Ale, so excited to kind of tap into that. But I know, not to switch off of work real quick, but I know you were at the Masters this year, and was it a pretty cool experience?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Are you going to be? Are they going to invite you back, or?
Oh yeah. I was a special guest of Rory McIlroy this year, and he and I have had such a long relationship. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I want to get out there someday.
Yeah, might need to start jumping into that lottery every year.
Yeah,
I do the lottery every year.
Do you?
Never won it though.
How did your opportunity come about?
I was having coffee with a friend of mine in Kansas City who actually lives in Atlanta, and he he's just a super well-connected dude.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to him that my 30th birthday was Masters Sunday this year.
Oh, wow.
And he kind of casually said, "Do you have access to the Masters?" I was like, no, but I'm working on it. And
Right.
a week later, he just texted me and he said, "Here's 4 badges for Sunday
man.
Wow.
at the Masters." So
What a treat.
That's
Yeah.
a good friend.
yes, yeah, very good.
Did he end up going with you?
No.
Was he not able to go, or he just was like, "Hey, you go have at it. I've been." And
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was that kind of.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
So.
So you bring some buddies from KC with you?
Yeah, my wife and then my best bud Mark and his wife. We kind of have kids the same age and do
Yeah.
a lot together. So, it was a good group.
Very
it was
cool.
a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you grew up first several years in Wichita, and then moved with the family and the business to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the Lawrence area,
and-
right?
yeah.
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 Right. But you've planted your family's flag in Lawrence,
Yep.
and make the short trip over. But has Kansas City, I would imagine, been a great home for Laminate Works over the
yeah.
years?
Yeah, and we had we should get these while they're cold.
Yeah, let's do it.
We had a plant in Dallas, Texas, that we sold kind of right before COVID, actually, a couple of years before it.
Okay.
So we've had plants in other places before, and we actually used to have a Houston plant too. But we sold that plant, kind of a strategic divestiture to build up kind of a world headquarters in Kansas City.
Got it.
And that's where our hub has been ever since then. And
Okay.
we have customers up in Canada, down in Mexico, pretty much all over the United States, and it's a good central location.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and do you guys have any offices still down in Texas, or?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No, I have a salesman that lives down in Dallas.
Okay.
He kind of travels around that area selling.
Yeah.
So
Well, and you want to share a little bit about, like some of the products you guys make, obviously share as much as you want. You don't need to share any secret sauce, but like who you guys are selling to and things of that nature, so the listeners have a little bit of understanding.
yeah, we're a manufacturer, and we only sell to other manufacturers, and that's kind of a distinction that sets us apart a little bit, that we don't sell to any consumers at all. So
Got it.
we get the occasional, hobbyist or somebody doing their own home project that calls and asks for something, and we only sell to other businesses. So a business that might call us could be an office furniture manufacturer, like the table we're sitting at. There are a lot of office furniture manufacturers out there, and all of them do it a little bit differently. Some of them make it on their own. Some of them buy everything out. So this company might have bought out the table legs from somebody, and then they go and buy out the top from somebody, and then they assemble them and sell them. So
Got it.
the industries we serve are anything from office furniture, school furniture, restaurant furniture, hospitality, elevators. It's really anything with a decorative laminate sheet stuck to wood, cut up into a shape and edge banded. And we mainly focus on OEMs, and then, like I said, only other manufacturers.
And I would imagine your processes are somewhat, or there's benefits to volume. I guess is that true, or is
It can be for sure.
Yeah.
We kind of like to call ourselves batch size one, meaning we try to optimize our manufacturing to allow for any shape or size to flow through and not create constraints. But it's obviously nice when we can get 800 work surfaces just like this and be able to
Right.
just run them in a row.
a repeated process?
But sometimes it's 1 or 5 or 12.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So there's not like a minimum threshold that you guys are or that is required for your
Nope.
OEMs to order or anything necessarily like that.
Yeah.
So you guys have some. That's interesting. Just the flexibility that you can
Yeah.
maintain while still having a robust operation too.
Well, and so when you went to school, did you kind of have a feeling you were going to want to get into the family business? And did you get a degree that was kind of catered to that expertise? Or do you guys have, I'm just kind of curious, because I'm sure there's like quite a bit of understanding of the machine that is helpful to, knowledge. I'm sure you've got team members at the plant that are engineers and things like that, but kind of curious that background a little bit too.
Yeah. For the school thing, I know I wanted to work in the family business. And, my dad being an entrepreneur kind of always said, hey, the one thing that I really learned the hard way is finance and that side of the business. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you just have an idea,
right,
and then you kind of figure out how to run a business along the way.
Yeah.
And so I got a degree in finance and a degree in business management. And, I think that was helpful. But for a minute there, maybe I thought, hey, I could take this degree and go do something totally different, and maybe entertain that for a minute. But it's a good foundation to have going back to the business and kind of understanding what's the textbook say about some of these things, rather than just the life experience.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and at the end of the day, that's what's fun about entrepreneurship and running your own business or running a family business. I think you kind of, which not to be said, it's not true for, more of a salaried job or in the finance world or whatnot, but I think you have a little more control over your own destiny. And I think that's what's attractive about it. A lot of times it's what sometimes makes it more stressful. But I think it's fun to know you're really relying on yourself and the team that you've, created and that you're a part of to
I mean, now you're obviously in the role of president, so you just inherently wear a lot of hats, but I mean, that's also just the nature of small business and family operations. I mean, there's certainly, it's not monotonous. You're not just sitting there doing a daily task over and over again. I mean, I'm sure that's probably an attractiveness to it too, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it really is never the same thing every day.
Right.
It's never the same problem. It's never the same opportunity. And it is a lot of fun in that aspect.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how our world is. It's fun. We get like you're saying, different problems every day, different opportunities every day, and new excitements, new relationships or like new customers that you get excited about. Okay, could be an awesome opportunity for us. You start to kind of see that vision of it coming together and kind of know it from the past experiences of how you can position yourself. And I think that's one of the things that makes it fun and invigorating on a regular basis is being an entrepreneur is just, new opportunities arising. It's kind of like Christmas every time you find one. And certainly some nights that are tougher where you're stressing over things.
That's the drawback, right?
Yeah.
There's no clocking out. There's no true vacation.
Right.
You don't go on PTO and leave your work phone in the office. You're always plugged in and answering emails, but it doesn't feel like work at that point.
Right. No, that's how one of the guys in our office just had his third baby this last week, and he Andrew Sweatenham, one of our office brokers, was joking, or it was Kobe Mashnick who had the third child, but Andrew was joking. He's like, well, there's not really any paternity leave or anything like that, and my girlfriend's even asked before, like, well, do you get like paternity leave? I'm like, I don't think you understand how my business works. I make I'm 100% commission based, so if I'm not working, I'm not.
Take off as much time as you want.
Right.
But,
right, I can take off all
know
summer.
the cost of that for sure.
Right.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of conversations like that.
For sure, yeah. What's your guys' head count, employee count now? What's
right
the team
now,
size?
it's about 65 at Laminate Works, and I think over at our metal business, we got 4 or 5.
Nice.
So.
Okay.
Cool. Well, and so every segment we do and I've been holding on to mine, we do a crack it open. So I'm going to crack it open and ask you a little bit of a question here, which this is a little bit of a sappy question. So sorry to put you on the spot, but what would you say in your time working with your dad? What's your favorite memory in the work world with your dad at Laminate Works or Metal Works, or kind of putting you on the spot there?
Wow.
So
Favorite memory. Well, I probably have different tiers of memories. Like, growing up, working for my dad as a really young kid, it was just the excitement of getting up super early, knowing I was up before all of my friends. I was going to get paid $2.50 an hour and go sweep floors. There was kind of the excitement of this responsibility. And so I definitely miss kind of the morning drives of,
Sure.
you know, it's 5:30 in the morning on a nice summer morning, and you're on the way to work with your dad. We used to get lunch a lot, and I loved getting lunch with him. We don't as much anymore because he's in Belton most of the time, where our metal plant is. And then there was kind of the phase of getting to go on different trips with him, whether it was a trade show or whatever. And yeah, those memories were awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's also really cool just to hear other people talk about my dad, and just, you know, I admire him a lot because he's the entrepreneur that built the business, and he's been really generous with me, you know, giving me opportunities to build and grow the business now.
Sure.
And so, yeah, in a weird way, I'm super proud of him and impressed by him,
Right.
which is just funny because, yeah, he's my dad. But that's probably the coolest thing about it is knowing that, you know, I get to do what I do because of what he did.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a great answer. No, and I'm sure, you know, the peek behind the curtain that you maybe never otherwise would have seen had you not gotten into it. And just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool. And then obviously having your own kids now, I mean, you realize how special, and I've seen some stat that's like, you know, the time that you get to spend with your kids from age 1 to 18, it's like, you know, obviously exponential. And then it just, as we age, it all goes downhill, the time you spend with your parents. But
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt and I are getting to experience it too. Just,
Yeah.
you know, you that quality time, those rides. I mean, it's just all the extra time that you've gotten to be together, and that creates a special bond that
Yeah.
is something you'll remember for the rest of your life for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, that's really neat.
No, it's cool getting to see the different, you know, see behind the curtain a little bit. Cause I think, you know, like there's always the, you know, the joke of like a dad saying, you know, well, I'm a big time this or that. And like my girlfriend jokes with her dad because he was like a world-renowned cardiologist. He would tell his kids that. But then, you know, you go to like a conference and people are like, "Oh my God, your dad's like blah blah blah."
Oh
and
shit!
It's like,
He wasn't. He wasn't.
and you're like, "Oh wow, like he really is or was legit," you know. And Stuart and I got to experience some of that too. I think when Stuart first started, it was like, you know, we'd be talking about opportunities or you know deals or tenants we're chasing in the market, and I'd be like, "Yeah," and like Dad, like. Was really like he's really built like a great career,
He was that guy.
and it's and it's cool. It's cool getting to really understand it as you become an experienced, you know, knowledgeable expert in the industry and of the business, and it's really it's really special. It sounds like your dad, like you said, has been generous with you and wants you to grow and learn, you know, how to help the company grow. And I mean, I think that's what, you know, Kessinger Hunter, we're at a really important time where with passing the torch, and it sounds like you guys have done a great job of that, and your dad's done a great job of that with you, and you've been a great person to now carry the torch. And so I think it's special when you see that done well. And like the church I go to, Jacob's Well, they just, you know, the senior pastor just announced he's passing the torch. He's still going to be around, still going to be preaching, but he's passing the torch to the gal who's been, you know, the up and comer for the last 5-7 years. And so I think and he talked about how when you can take control of that, whereas unfortunately you see some folks that kind of grab onto it and don't want to let go. And
it's part of the reason why some businesses fail.
Oh, 1,000%.
In the end.
Yeah.
Because people struggle with that.
But I just think that's really cool because it's special. You don't see that all the time. And so it's cool. It's good to hear that there's another local company doing that. And it's fun to kind of hear a little bit more about it.
And then, you know, just obviously being in the real estate world and the development world over the years, and just through growing up to now, you can go around town and be like, oh yeah, you know, he was involved in building that building, and, you know, putting that client in that building. And I mean, are you guys at a point where you can go around and like notice your product like out and about sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it hides.
I'm sure.
Sometimes,
right. It's meant to not stand out.
Yeah,
sometimes, right.
Sometimes you know exactly what it is, and then I think the more fun thing is when you see something that you could have made that's clearly not yours. And you're like, that looks terrible.
Oh,
and you're like, I need to call on those guys.
Yes,
whatever they're using.
There's a lead. Yeah. Right.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you got 2 little ones at home, 4 and 2, I think you said. Are they boys or girls?
2 girls.
2 girls.
3rd girl on the way in September.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Me and my French bulldog Gus are the only guys in the house. So sit on the back patio, smoke cigars, and
there you go.
It's just me and Gus.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
That's awesome. Do you think the girls, you're going to try and get the girls into the family business maybe?
I think the hope is allow the girls to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I always, again, I think I always felt like I wanted to be in the family business. I never once felt pressured to be in the family business. And I have siblings. One of them's involved, 2 of them aren't. But yeah, for my daughters, I think it's fan their flame, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, you know, for all you know, Gus could get into the business
Gus
too.
could, yeah.
Is he well known around the shop?
You know, I thought about bringing him to the shop more. I think he's been 1 or 2 times, but he would be a perfect shop dog. And my very pregnant wife doesn't have a lot of patience for Gus right now. And
I bet.
So she, old Gus, he would probably do well as a shop dog right now.
Yeah, he might start picking up some part-time work.
Yeah.
And so, and you said one of your is it 3 siblings?
Yes, yeah.
One of them was working with you on your team. How long have they been on the team?
My older sister, she's been around a little bit too, and she didn't start as young, but she kind of helped with some admin stuff and, you know, around the office things. And she just had her first kid in January. And so she's kind of in a part-time as needed role right now, doing some marketing stuff. And
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. It's fun working with siblings. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, Kurt and I have fortunately had a pretty good yin and yang over the last few years, you know, where when I jumped in and started talking to people that knew Kurt in the industry for the last several years, they're like, oh my God, you guys sound exactly alike. It's like, yeah, we might sound alike, but we are wired very differently. So yeah, Kurt was just always a little bit more analytical, and you know, I could maybe play a room a little bit better than Kurt could at times. But so it's been a pretty good balance. And, you know, I was always a little envious of younger brother working with dad, and I was ready for a change and jumped right in. But, yeah, it was humbling there for a minute, learning from little bro and, you know, taking some punches. But no, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm kind of the mediator between he and my dad are the hard-headed, like, you know, alike ones, and I'm a little bit more I don't know if reasonable is the right word.
palatable, maybe.
Maybe there's a sliver of my mom that's maybe a little bit more in me than him.
I would say we're kind of the same way, that my older sister and my dad are probably most alike.
Yeah.
And I'm more like my mom. And, so.
Well, our oldest sister might even be more like our dad than I am.
Yeah.
She's not in the business. It'd be fun if she was, but
we've joked about it.
Yeah, we've joked about it plenty. But no, yeah, it's fun, and yeah, I think Dan, our dad, he always jokes, which I would kind of take it like backhanded, because it's like, well, you don't need to tell everyone that, but he would always say that I was like the last of his 4 kids that he thought would go into the business. I'm like, okay, so you don't think I have the strengths for the industry, but I think probably you would have been probably his first guess at someone who would go into the business. But it's been a lot of fun, the synergy we've been able to find, and
yeah, for sure,
it's fun too, just seeing, you know, I'm not a dad, you know, yet, but it's fun also knowing, like, when we're out working on a deal, like, it makes me, not that I wouldn't be happy to be seeing you earn money for yourself, but it's fun to feel like I'm a part of also, like, you know, when commissions are coming in, it's like, oh, and that's, you know, like that's my nieces and my nephew, you know, like that's putting food on the table for them,
contributing to our well-being.
Yeah,
too.
it feels it's special to be a part of it.
There's
So.
definitely a responsibility that comes with the family business too. That it's like,
Sure.
better not screw this up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
This is other people.
right. Well, that's our dad would joke about that too. He's like, it's either gonna be a lot of fun or it's gonna be very painful if it doesn't go well. Because there's
Right.
nothing more awkward when family business doesn't go well.
That's true.
So we've been fortunate, and it sounds like you guys have been too. So
Yeah, and the yin and yang is so important too, to have complementary skill sets like on all aspects of your teams and whatnot.
Sure.
And I think, I really value having people on the management team that do specific tasks way better than me, and kind of diversifying the types of personalities you have.
Yep.
Everything from the analytical to the
Right.
the communicators and whatnot, and everybody in between all that. So
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's critical to, again, having the right makeup of a team. But, well, I'm curious, do you guys sell, I mean, are a lion's share of your customers in the Kansas City market, or are these manufacturers outside of what's
Yeah.
kind of that balance look like for you guys?
we have a few local customers, but the majority of it is outside
Okay.
of Kansas City.
So those trade shows and stuff like that are important for you guys to
Yeah,
go to?
we've met some customers at trade shows over the years. Really, when we were kind of first getting started, there was a local laminate distributor, and his name is Randy, and Randy kind of helped us establish some business with customers that he knew that he wanted to sell to, but they didn't have the manufacturing capabilities.
Right.
And so we kind of developed a customer base that way. And that was, the sort of regional customers here and into Missouri. And then we kind of had a unique lane that opened up that was pretty much the I-35 corridor from here all the way up to Duluth. And we had a salesman that lived out of Minneapolis that was with us for about 15 years. And so we really grew a ton of business up through that area.
Cool.
There's a lot of woodworking that goes on. And then the large OEMs, which is, the lion's share of our business, they're everywhere.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, major markets and that kind of stuff.
yeah. Or sometimes in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
I think a lot of those manufacturers are kind of in like small little towns where
Yeah.
they're the main employer, and
Yeah.
Costs are beneficial.
So
right.
there's a lot of that. And then there's a lot of customers that, we try to find that we think need our help that, might not know it. And kind of our internal slogan and tagline is, when sourcing HPL, which is laminate, when sourcing laminate parts and panels is easy, manufacturers can focus on what they do best. So if you think of somebody that's selling office furniture, they don't necessarily care about this other than they need it for their product.
Yep.
And if you don't know how to make it, or having difficulty making it, or don't have capacity to make it, you have to buy it out.
Right.
And it's kind of like pulling teeth to buy it out.
Yep.
So our value proposition has always been service and making our customers feel cared for. And that's really gone a long way.
Yeah.
In kind of in an old-fashioned way, like service has kind of gone out of style. And
Definitely.
And we've kind of doubled down, and that's how we try to differentiate.
Yeah, I mean, it's shifted. Everybody wants things now,
Right.
and it's
and at the lowest price point. And
right,
Yeah.
and it's a race to the
And there's ways to find it now. It's easier to go and find something, or order something from Temu or something goofy like that. But so there's a lot of DIY. I think DIY is more, at least off the cuff, attainable than it's ever been. But to your point, having an expert focus on that niche is better for you to and you can focus all your bandwidth on what you're good at, which is running your business and manufacturing office furniture. And so it's like, remove this from your equation and look at how much stronger you get at doing what you do best, we pitch that, ourselves as well. So I totally get where you're coming from on that. So I think there's a lot of commonalities in Kansas City. Yeah. But
yeah. Well, and again, that's we've heard a lot of similar sentiments in some of the locally owned and owned and operated companies that we've talked to on some of these things. There's a lot of common ground with that kind of stuff.
Well, because the conglomerates keep getting bigger and bigger, and
Right.
I think it's important to stand out with that level of personal service, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, do you have any? I always feel like we always blink, and it's been like 45 minutes. But do you have any? Crack it open questions, or do you have any crack it open questions you'd like to
I don't
ask?
have any crack it open.
You kind of hit on mine. I was going to ask what was something that maybe he learned about his father that he didn't know in those 20 years that you've gotten to work together.
Wow, learn about him that I didn't know.
Yeah, but maybe that's tough with all the time you got to spend with him. So, yeah.
Well, is there anything you learned that you didn't know or didn't think you knew?
Yeah, that's God. I don't know. I mean, it is funny when I come across somebody or a company and they say, oh yeah, I remember Bert. That's my dad, Bert, or whatever. And the funny ones that I get sometimes are, my salesman in Texas and Minnesota. They're both kind of newer guys because the old Minnesota guy retired. But anyway, they'll call on somebody and they'll come back to me and they'll say, "Hey, Jack, I called on this guy and they said there's no way they're dealing with us because they had some bridge was burned with Bert 20 years ago." It's like, those are always kind of funny. Just,
Sure.
knowing my dad and where he draws the line and doesn't draw the line. And sometimes two businesses just aren't meant to do business together. And it, somebody takes it wrong, but those are always
Well,
fun
and I
ones.
imagine over the years, while you've excelled in your role and he's kind of shifted his focus to the metalworks side, I would imagine it's still comforting and you guys have still had plenty of conversations over the years about what's the right next step for Laminate and maybe you personally and just how do we continue to grow. I mean, it's nice that the reins have been kind of handed over, but at the same time you still have that confidant and a wealth of knowledge and experience in your back pocket, and obviously still very much a part of your life. So that's cool too, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Well, and are you guys, your team here locally, are you guys looking for any new team members or anything like that you want to share or talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like our strategy has always been find the right people and then figure it out later. And we've had those types of situations where somebody comes across our desk and we're like, "Hey, we don't really care what this person does right now, but they embody our core values, and we know that it's going to work out long term." And so whether we're actively hiring for something or not, it's always about looking for the right people that are going to take us to where we want to go. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you guys have a website that you want to share too?
Oh,
that
yeah.
we could jump on.
LaminateWorks.com.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nice.
Again, only call me if you're a manufacturer. If you're a hobbyist, don't bother.
Have you guys helped any like newer manufacturers get going? Have you guys? That's probably pretty fun too.
Yeah. We've had a few of those. There was a really cool company that was in Phoenix a few years ago that was, I think they were trying to really capture kind of the home office boom, and they were making some really cool desks using our product. And I don't think they're around anymore, but there's another really cool Kansas City company, Simply Tables. I'll shout them out.
Okay.
And they do, most of what they do is not laminate, but they do a lot of really cool stone and wood stuff.
Yeah.
I always like bringing people into kind of the world we do and opening people's eyes to, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. So
for sure.
It's not the perfect application for everything, but it is fun when you can kind of help somebody imagine what the possibilities are.
Yeah. Do you guys ever bring an OEM to your factory,
Yeah.
show off your capabilities and
Yeah.
all the customization and things you guys can do?
Yeah, that's usually like again, an eye-opening experience for people to say, hey, I never knew somebody could do that. And I was calling on an office furniture manufacturer last week that's a little bit more of a mom and pop shop, and it's a husband and wife that owns it, and they started it in 2010, I think he told me, and they started by kind of refurbishing old cubicles, just reupholstering, the fabric and whatnot, and reselling them. And there's a market there, and then one thing led to another, and they at this point now they're kind of making their own office furniture. They're still doing the refurbishing, so they'll make a new top for an old banged up top and whatnot. And as a husband and wife that runs that business, they were saying the husband Ryan, he's saying sometimes I'm at the plant 24 hours.
Right.
If I don't have a guy there that day, I'm the one that's running my machines to do this and whatnot. And we met them for dinner the morning before we toured their facility. And when we met them for dinner, it was like their first date night out in like months or something. And I was like, well, I'm really sorry that you did this with
And then I'm here.
me and my sales guy. Like, that's kind of lame. You guys should be doing something way cooler. But
Right.
anyway, when we visited their plant and I saw their facility, it was more of a, hey, I really think we can help you get some of your life back by, taking on this manufacturing for you. And the conversation then turns from like, I had no idea that was even possible. We should explore that more. So those kinds of conversations are always really fun to have when, I'm genuinely trying to find people that we can help, not sell.
No, that's a really cool example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Well, appreciate you coming on with us, and excited to see you guys keep growing and seeing where things go. And like I said, appreciate it, and best of luck to Laminate Works, Metal Works moving forward.
Yeah, that was fun. Likewise to you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Cool.
All right.
Sweet.
Teaching you the art of industrial real estate. This is On Air with Team Jensen.